Hi, good afternoon. Welcome to the marketplace. Coming up, government to establish fund aimed at helping with interest payments for Eurobond holders and bilateral creditors. Is a sinking fund being resurrected? We will discuss coming up. Also coming up, to regulate or not, Trade Minister poised to push a legislative instrument to regulate cement prices and prevent what he says is a cartel exploiting the public.
We're telling you by this that let us understand your pricing factors, your cost structure, and then based on that, everybody understand.
We'll have the original director of CAST International with us. My name is Darryl Carl. Thanks for joining us. Details coming up. And thanks for staying with us, everyone. First up, government has announced that it will soon set up a fund aimed at helping with interest payments to Eurobond holders and bilateral creditors. Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam disclosed this at a meeting with the Paris Club members in France. Here's George Jaffe starting us off with this report.
On the sinking fund module, where the required contributions will be made now, ahead of the date, the government should start meeting its obligations to these creditors in terms of debt repayment. Ghana could from next year resume payment to external creditors after it reached a deal with bilateral and Eurobond holders. Finance Minister Dr. Mohamed Amin Adam has already told Joy Business that proposals have been sent to Cabinet to aid in the operationalization of this fund. The minister has also told the investors at this meeting in Paris that government will look at drawing some monies from the stabilization fund to support this scheme. A lot of analysts have argued that government should institute the required measures now so it will not be found wanting when it's due to resume repayment in principal and other costs associated with these debt repayments.
Well, Professor John Gachi is Dean, University of Cape Coast Business School. He joins us on Zoom. Good afternoon to you, sir. So it looks to me like the resurrection of the sinking fund, which was abandoned by the government in 2017. What do you make of this move by the finance minister to establish a sinking fund to pay interest to Eurobond holders and bilateral creditors?
Of the package of activities that define proper management of debt. So it was not in the right direction in the first place for us to disengage or discontinue with the sinking fund that was established to retire the remaining part of the $750 million of 2007 bond. Now that we have been asked to do that, I believe it's in the right direction. Sinking fund normally helps you to mobilize funds to pay normally your principal, so that when it falls due, it doesn't create a problem for the country. It doesn't put pressure on the country. So it's in the right direction. But we do not need sinking fund for holding external debt. We also need sinking fund for domestic borrowing that are of long-term in nature. So if we start practicing that, that will help the country. It will up our credit rating, it will reduce our risk, and then our commitment level will be known to creditors, and then they have some certainty concerning our engagement with them. But the challenge that I envisage is that normally, when you are borrowing, you are technically borrowing using future revenue as collateral. But this future revenue is highly incumbent against certain statutory and some commitment. So it's as though we want to establish sinking fund, but the revenue stream to be servicing the sinking fund may be a challenge. Of course, we can prioritize that against other priorities that we have already, and that will pose problem. Just as we have a situation where we are committed so much to compensation, goods and services, and we have very little for capital expenditure. We may have that situation where we'll prioritize the sinking fund because it's like a restrictive covenant within the debt exchange program or the restructuring agreement that was signed by government.
Right, Prof. So we're getting indication on how the sinking fund will be structured. We want to show our viewers that in a bit on your screen. So first, they're going to use excess funding from the stabilization fund of petroleum revenues, also improve financial management of SOEs and rechannel dividends into the fund, and also budgetary allocation through increased revenue mobilization. Now, this is based on discussions we understand the finance minister had with members of the Paris Club. Are we on track?
Well, I think these are difficult areas. We already know that the stabilization fund is created by law. I also do know that we cap the stabilization fund along the line, which we have been using to manage debt in the country. It's not as though the excess of the stabilization fund has not been used before to manage debts. Unless we start the process, I wouldn't be sure that that area is a safe area to go. It is already encumbered, it is already overused, it's already overcapped. And if we are not careful, now there will be a competition for the stabilization fund between difficult times and the building of sinking fund. So that is a challenge that I envisage.
How about
the second one?
Yeah.
It's a very risky territory. Most of our SOEs are not performing. Just very few of them are paying dividend. And I do not know how much we are going to garner from the dividend of the SOEs. So that is also a challenge for me. The idea is not bad, but the reality of getting dividend in a consistent manner in huge sums to build a sinking fund for the level of debt that we are going to be servicing in the coming years is a challenge.
And how about the third one, which is allocation, the budgetary allocation through increased revenue mobilization then?
I already said that in actual fact, when you are borrowing, what you are doing is that you are using future revenue as collateral. And the future revenue is consumed before we collect. That challenge is there. We are not able to pay some statutory fund, national health insurance levy that is contributed. We are not able to remit on time. The same thing applies to District Assembly Common Fund. All those challenges do exist. So it's not as though that the revenue that we are expecting to service debt is a revenue that is coming without any encumbrance. All the revenue is already encumbered. That's why we have been discussing about over earmarking of government revenue, and we have over earmarked almost everything. We have we have collateralized Get Fund, we have collateralized XLAB, we have allocated the revenue to certain areas that are statutory in nature. So just a small amount of the revenue is left for other activities. So we are now going to share it with the sinking fund, building of the sinking fund. That will not going to be rosy. It's going to be a challenging effort.
So what are your recommendations to government in establishing this fund, and are there other alternatives they can explore aside from the sinking fund in settling interest payments?
Of course, the only clear source of revenue that was being used before was the stabilization fund. And my understanding is that the excess of the stabilization fund is still being used to service debt. Had it not been that the case, of course, we can apportion what the excess to service the debt that is earmarked for, and also the remainder can go into the sinking fund. But mind you, we are talking about dwindling production of oil in the country. I think we have gone about more than 40% downward development in the production. That also have implication for revenue. And remember, the stabilization fund ought to be built year-on-year basis. Right. If you are not putting more into the stabilization fund itself, then there is a risk of getting excess to spread between current debt management and then building of sinking fund.
All right, Professor John Gachi, Dean, University of Cape Coast Business School, I appreciate your time with us this afternoon. Well, away from that, Trade and Industry Minister Katie Hammond has resolved to ignore a petition from the Chamber of Cement Manufacturers requesting a delay in implementing a legislative instrument designed to regulate cement prices. Ms. Hammond insists the LI is necessary to prevent a cartel of manufacturers from exploiting the public. Now, if the LI is approved, cement manufacturers could face up to 3 years in jail for violations. Now, despite opposition from the minority in Parliament and various interest groups, the minister remains firm in his decision. Listen to him talk about the LI in an interview with Evans Mens on PM Express.
What we're asking the LI will be asking the committee as a committee. No, it's not a different committee. It's mandating the committee established under this one. Yes, to take charge of that. And what they will be doing is this: make sure that there's an upper band within which.
So you are establishing a price ceiling.
Yes, a ceiling kind of thing within which they should operate. But we simply are not going to give you a band. You know, the band will be there, but we're going to be very specific with your company. We're telling you by this that let us understand your pricing factors, your cost structure, and then based on that, everybody understand. Let there be transparency. Let us know. Of course, there will be this publication that I've told you about. But of course, to arrive at how much you want to charge, let's understand what.
But within the price ceiling.
Of course, within the price ceiling. So price regulation, it will be regulation paragraph number 4. And it says this: the committee shall, as a committee, in establishing the maximum allowable retail price for cement, consider the following. Okay. And the consideration would include A, the ex-factory price of cement, ex-factory, and then the cost of the preparation of the production account for the sale of cement, all the cost factors. The cost of transportation of cement, the related costs. There'll be so many other related costs. And of course, this is a critical one, a reasonable profit margin. I don't think it is absurd to suggest that you should have a reasonable and not outrageous profit margin. And, so these are the factors that are going to be taken into consideration.
Trade Minister Katie Hammond there, he doesn't think it is absurd at all. Join us on Zoom, Apia Kusiadumarko, Regional Director, CATS, West Africa. Good afternoon to you. So you heard the Trade Minister. What do you make of his move to regulate the pricing of cement?
Thank you very much, and good afternoon to your viewers. I think the whole concept of regulating cement prices in Ghana is not the best for the industry. It's something that will not work for consumers, neither will it work for the manufacturers in the industry. If cement prices are going up, it is important we understand what are the drivers of the surge in cement prices. We know that the cement is imported, the clinkers are imported into the country with the hard currency dollar. And whenever the cedi depreciates against the dollar, it is natural that you see cement prices going up. And so if government wants to contain the surge in cement prices, it is important that we tackle the underlying conditions, that is the forex issues. And of course, it is not only cement prices that have gone up. Rice prices have gone up. Even the fruit juices that we bought have all gone up. But I've not heard the government saying that the prices of these items are to be regulated. We live in a free market economy. And if people take risks to import and they want to sell their goods, then they should be allowed to sell them in a way that they will make it to be profitable for them. And mind you, there are multiple players in the market. So, for example, if company A decides to sell 8 bags of cement for 200 Ghana cedis, company B can sell it for 50 Ghana cedis, and that is what competition does. But if government want to see that the prices of cement are stabilized, the first thing I would say is the cedi dollar exchange rate. That's number one. Number two, we need to also have a competition law to regulate the conduct of these players. In the absence of competition law, what most of these business can be doing is what? Fixing prices. They could be agreeing on what? That look, let's fix how much we sell this products to the market. Price regulation will not fix this. Competition law can also regulate the conduct of businesses in terms of they trying to reduce the quantity that they can supply, said that it will cause artificial shortage, and that would also bring about price increase. And so the firefighting approach by the minister is not going to work, number one. And if we want to see that the price of cement, not only cement, I mean, price of goods in the market are competitive, then we need to have competition law that has provision that criminalizes the conduct of price fixing and then also abusive dominance in the market. Unfortunately, since 2008, Ghana has had this draft competition bill, and it's lying at the Ministry of Trade, and the document has gathered dust. And that is the document that I expect the minister to take it to Parliament, take it to Cabinet, for Cabinet to also push it to Parliament, so that we can have an effective competition law in the country that will be able to regulate business practices and bring about fair trading conduct in the country. Without this, the firefighting approach will not help anybody.
Well, the trade minister makes mention of a cartel of manufacturers, which he says are exploiting the public. But I also want to talk from the perspective of the consumers who may be pretty much excited about this move by the trade minister, because they complain about high cement prices. I mean, you can also understand the state of the economy and that the manufacturers are in a pretty tight spot. And so where do you draw the line, really, in all of this?
So as a consumer, I buy cement and I wish cement prices goes to, let's say, 20 cedis per bag. But if government forces the manufacturers to peg their prices to, let's say, 50 cedis per bag, what it means is that these businesses will not find it economical to stay in business. They will end up folding up because they will not be able to recover their cost of operation, and they will close their businesses. That means that as a consumer, I can't get cement to buy when I need a cement. And so when you have such an issue like this, you look at the market approach in resolving this. And I'm very sure that the ministry has not undertaken any market study of the cement sector before coming up with this. And if they have studied the market, if they have undertaken a market study, I'm sure that they would have looked at a more efficient, non-interventionist approach that would ensure that the market would work both for consumers and producers. I mean, I'll be happy to see the minister saying that we are trying to also regulate the price of rice, because rice prices have gone up. We eat rice daily. We don't build on daily basis. Even the sachet water that we see have also gone up, and I've not heard the minister saying that. And of course, the minister sits in cabinet. When the importers import cement, the clinker into the country, there is an import VAT on them. All these things are in dollars. And so there's a bigger problem that we need to address. And let's address the bigger problem. If we shy away from addressing the bigger problem, I think that it will continue to harm us. I endorse the cement manufacturer stand. I mean, the LR is not a best approach of doing it, and government should not attempt to regulate prices. I mean, I wasn't born then in late 70s. We heard the story of the price regulation and what it brought about. Sometimes business may decide to hold their goods because it wouldn't make sense for them to sell it at those control prices. And this is a free market. And when we do this, it can also send negative signals to potential investors into the country. They may think that, look, Ghana government will one day wake up and say, I'm doing price regulation. This is a free market, and let the market help in the best allocation of resources and determine prices.
Well, the minister seems pretty poised to do this. I don't know whether he's going to circle back on pushing this LI, but like you point out, the manufacturers also wouldn't have it. And so I don't know what the chances are that this will pass Parliament, but what further engagements can they have really in the short term in fixing this? And ensuring that, I mean, they are relatively, I mean, understandable prices, if you like.
Yes, I think that the minister should not focus on the cement sector. Let's look at the whole economy. What are the things that are driving prices? What can government do? For example, if we want cement prices to go down, maybe the value for which the customs use to calculate the clinker, they should discount it so that at the end of the day, the prices that they pay, the duty that they pay at the port will be lower. I think that is a better approach. Government must be willing to sacrifice some revenue at the port if government wants to help consumers and not to cause the businesses to, not to regulate prices.
All right. Thank you so much. That's Apia Kusiad Marco, Regional Director, Cactus West Africa. Thank you so much for your time. Up next, business and politics. All right, a quick one. And the minority in Parliament has been raising questions about the losses made by the Bank of Ghana. What's that all about? Parliamentary correspondent Kweku Asante joins us from Parliament. Good afternoon, Kweku. So what's the story with the Bank of Ghana?
Well, so Daryl, the Bank of Ghana did announce a 10.5 billion Ghana cedi loss for the year 2023. That is a marked improvement from the 60 billion that they announced in 2022. That became such a big controversial issue in the country. And yesterday, the ranking member of the Finance Committee, the minority spokesperson of Finance, Isaac Adongo, did speak to journalists, at which he claimed the Bank of Ghana may be cooking these figures, maybe cooking the data in a way that underrepresents or understates the value of the losses that they've been making so far. It appears the NDC really want to make the finances of the country going into the 2024 elections such a big issue. For some of them, they're even claiming that the future NDC government will institute a forensic audit into the affairs of the Bank of Ghana and ensure that the specifics of the information that they put out are really what it should be. And so this is what the NDC is saying. Of course, they've not presented any evidence to contradict the Bank of Ghana data that they provided so far.
Yeah.
Bank of Ghana has provided an audit report of its auditors that states that is the loss they made in 2023. Adongo did write to the Bank of Ghana, gets the data directly and says he has been looking at all that and the information he gets, and he is convinced, but he's also reading that the Bank of Ghana may be cooking its books and under-declaring the losses that they've been making over the past few years. And that's something that they really want to push through Parliament in the next few weeks. And
quickly, it's not just about the Bank of Ghana, but the state of the economy. They're taking a dig at the Vice President and the MPP flag bearer, Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia.
Well, yes, according to Ajay Kadungo, Dr. Bawumia is a Yahoo economist in his words, and that the Vice President has all of a sudden shifted from the economy, speaking a lot about matters of digitalization. That is not his aim to think. That is not what he has become popular for which reason they believe that the Bank of Ghana, the Vice President, who is also the MP flag bearer, should be openly speaking about the economy. These are concerns that have made over the last week. We've spoken about this. The Vice President hasn't really listened to that. It appears they want to also make it a big issue going into the 2024 election, make a lot of noise about it, about why the Vice President should be speaking about the economic situation in the country, although the Vice President really has his own political strategy.
Right, and Kweku, question is, how far-reaching are these criticisms in the lead-up to the elections, and are the majority responding?
The majority that have been quite silent about it, in particular, the chairman of the committee has not spoken much about matters of the economy, even regarding his own committee in the last few weeks. It's always been the NDC minority that have been happening on it. It begs the question, what is the viewpoint, what is the political strategy of the majority going forward? Are they going to allow the NDC continuously make these claims about the Vice President and the economy that is supreme?
All right, Kweku Asante there from Parliament for us. Appreciate your time with us this afternoon on The Marketplace. That's our program, everyone. Thanks for watching. There is more news on our website, myjoyonline.com/business. Ghana records $4.6 billion in remittances in 2023, still in second position in Sub-Saharan Africa. Also, Bank of Ghana did no wrong in revoking the license of UniCredit. That's according to the Supreme Court. myjoyonline.com/business. Thanks for watching, everyone. We will be back same time tomorrow.